feel like right now we're fading out of obscurity and then emerging.
Was there a cold open, or now we're emerging out of our theme song?
Yeah, it's kind of, that's an option. So we can stop right now and then restart.
No,
I
love it. I think we're already in. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Chris and Jack's Podcast Pilots, the podcast. A show
where we don't really know what our podcast is, but we're going to find it out in real time with you.
Maybe, so we're going to do 2 different pilots for 2 different podcasts, and after doing a bunch of these, maybe we'll be like, that was it. Back there, episode 6, podcast number 1, that should be our podcast forever, and then we just abandon this crappy premise, and then we just make that podcast forever. But for now, we live in this crappy premise where we're going to do 2 podcast pilots for you today, and we'll see if either of them are worthy of being our podcast. How you doing, Chris?
What's fun about this for me is there's an element, the element of surprise is exciting, because largely we're not pre-chatting these beyond like the need of any kind of something specific about that premise. Granted, we've only done one. We've only done one so far, so there's not a lot of like track record to point to.
And one of our podcasts this week was pre-chatted in the previous episode. We came up with this as a potential pilot, so we'll be doing one that had some amount of pre-chat. But by and large, we're not pre-chatting. We're surprising the other person with what we're doing. And we are, as I've mentioned before, and we'll mention again, we're not really doing a lot of research to see if these are already podcasts. Maybe somebody else is already doing this podcast. We didn't check. Okay?
My guess is the one that we're bringing in today that is on the heels of last week's or last month's podcast probably doesn't exist. But PhanZane, if it does, sorry y'all. We're updating and recreating it, you know? One thing I've also enjoyed, sorry, Jack, one thing I've also enjoyed is learning from last week is that I'm my mouth is so much closer to the microphone. I'm feeling so much more present. I didn't feel like my mouth was close enough to the microphone last time.
We're getting it. We're finding it. I was very present on this mic. But yeah, now we got a podcast about podcasts. So let's have no further ado. And let's jump in. As you may recall, we're going to give each of these 30 minutes to give them like a real true and proper test run, and we'll see how they go. Should we start, Chris?
Yeah, we're flipping from last time's order, right? Because last time I went first, then you went first. This time we're having you go first, and then I will go second.
I'm bringing PhanZane. We talked about it last week. It's a Phantom podcast. I realize in the glow of it coming up in the moment, I realize in the aftermath, PhanZane, excellent name for a fanzine about Phantom. Mediocre name for a podcast about Phantom, but here we are. So I'm going to set a timer.
Also, you have to spell it for everybody.
PhanZane. PhanZane. It's like a fanzine for Phantom, and the fan spelled like Phantom, and the Zane is like Billy Zane.
Star Billy Zane of The Phantom.
30 minutes on the clock. I assume all of you watched The Phantom in preparation for this podcast. I'd also like to remind you, this is a pilot for a podcast that hopefully we would be able to do every week. So, though we will have a lot of our initial reactions to watching The Phantom for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah.
I'd like us to think about what would this be, if we did it every week, once a week.
That I think that's an important rubric for this. I think also obviously everyone that's listening has watched it because we did that one tweet that told you to watch it before this one.
Are you going to do that?
Maybe. Okay, but if we did, I don't think everybody sees our tweets.
If not, perfect time to pause this podcast and go watch 1996's The Phantom, available now on Amazon Prime and Paramount Plus. But you said you rented it?
I don't know how you saw. I rented it through Apple TV. I just go there usually to rent
Amazon
it.
Prime streaming for free, and Paramount Plus if you got that one. I
just thought such a premier piece of content you'd have to really pay for.
So The Phantom, 1996. First of all, Chris, just give me real flash response. How'd you like it? Well, let me preface that by saying I was deeply, deeply proud that the one plot detail I remembered of a guy getting stabbed in the eyes from a microscope, adjusting the fine focus knob, and that it stabs him in the eyes. I was so happy that was in this movie, because the second the movie started, I was like, I don't remember any of this. Is this the movie I was? What the hell is this? What is this, like, crazy colonial fucking... I immediately panicked, and I'm like, is this Eddie? Is this even? And then I was immediately convinced. I convinced myself that instead of The Phantom, the movie I was remembering was The Shadow, which is based on...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was that Alec Baldwin, like 1994, The Shadow. And I was like, I've never seen The Phantom. What is this? But I've seen The Phantom. That guy gets stabbed in the eyes.
I think it's important also to give, I'm realizing, a little bit of context. From last week, The Phantom came up because I had made comics as a kid unwittingly that I drew, just like, I watched that movie a ton as a kid. I didn't remember much of it, but I drew a bunch of Phantom comics that I just kind of did my own world building. And then in rewatching it, quickly realized I didn't remember a lot of that movie. Jack.
I didn't remember any of it.
I feel like we can stumble through the plot for people that may not have seen it.
So it's based on comics that started in. So this movie is set in the 30s. The comics started being released in the 30s, so presumably they were not a period piece at the time. And also, I found out they're the first. This is the first spandex superhero. Basically, it's the first costumed crime fighter with spandex. Didn't do a lot of research. Don't tell me if that's wrong. I don't want to know.
I'd say as spandex goes, they really leaned into it. They're like, okay, we're going to make it very clear. This guy is supposedly a ghost that no one can see in the jungle, but in the green jungle, we're going to put him in bright purple spandex because nothing says that he'll blend in with the shadows like that.
And Billy Zane doing great in that spandex. Great. He's a handsome man in this movie. Let's get that out of the way up front. This is PhanZane. We are at the very least, huge Billy Zane fan podcast. So
yes. the movie, I feel like, really showcases a lot of his best attributes, both physically and from an acting standpoint. I think there's some fun that he has in there.
Yeah, would you say that character has fun?
I would say
he has some fun.
I would say, as the bar of all performances go, generally speaking, in there, he's the one that I kind of sometimes was like, well, there's kind of somebody doing something there now.
Oh, I'm gonna say, let's talk about it, Chris, because there's one performance in this movie that I just straight up loved through and through. Treat Williams as the villain, Xander Drax, I think, is having such a good time. And I was completely there for it.
We have to talk about that. Well, okay, just before we dive into it, just the basic gist of this movie.
Yeah,
there's a fabled guardian of this kind of jungle, but I think the world at large to a degree.
Well, it's this jungle. It's the Bangala jungle, which is a fictional jungle, implied to be in Asia.
Yeah,
just somewhere.
Looked like Thailand, something like that.
I read in the comics sometimes it's in Africa, sometimes it's in Asia. It's not clear.
Nope. That makes it evergreen, man. It could be anywhere. Yeah. It could be any of us.
So the backstory is that the Phantom is that somebody was on a pirate ship. Some British guy was on a pirate ship. He crash lands when his dad is killed, and he crashes into this jungle, and he's found by the locals, and it's a real weird white savior thing where they're just like, this guy's amazing, give him powers. And for some reason, they give this baby a very important role. Although the Phantom does not. So then, this role of the Phantom, of the ghost who walks, this guardian of the Bangala jungle, is passed down generation by generation from one father to his son. With no superpowers or anything. This is a classic Batman style, just a crime fighter with his own guile, and a big part of his like ability to defeat things is sort of the myth making around the Phantom, that the Phantom cannot be killed, which we find out is because it's just when you kill him, his son pops up. Cool idea. So there we go. That's the backstory.
And then
that we
within
get
the
in a beautiful
construct
montage
of this movie, we've got lore around these three skulls that if they come together, they harness a power the likes of which mankind has never known nor should know. Except there's this villainous mastermind, Drax.
Xander Drax.
That's out to gather the skulls. Got some henchmen doing it. Phantom's bumping up against them, stopping that in his purple spandex out there. Really kind of like not doing great fighting. He comes in and out of it. You know, generally he's kicking some ass. He very quickly gets his butt kicked often.
He does. It was very surprising to me that he's just got guns. Like there's so much like myth making around him, and it's like, oh, he's this trained in like mystic Asian arts, and he's on a horse flanked by a wolf called Devil, and then he just is chasing these bad guys down and just pulls friggin' guns out and just shoots.
I think this is an origin story for John Wick. This is where it all came from.
Whoa, the ghost that wicks.
The ghost that wicks. John Wick's riding a horse.
By the way, did you catch the fun that his name is Kit Walker? The family, they're called the Walkers because they're the ghosts who walk.
I think it's now I can confidently say it's the perfect movie. There's nothing wrong or problematic about this movie whatsoever.
So somebody's chasing down these skulls. He sends his henchmen out to the jungle to get the skulls. We got James Remar, who's in everything. He's a lead henchman. The Phantom shows up. The Phantom gets quickly defeated. The guys escape with the skull. He's not a good Phantom.
No.
Then we find out about a newspaper tycoon who knows that Xander Drax is up to something no good. So he's going to send his niece to the jungle to figure out what's going on. Is this all correct?
I think so.
Okay, because she volunteers because she's like, Uncle Michael, you can't do that.
I was just in the Yukon. I'm clearly someone that can handle the extreme weather situations.
Do we have any sense of her qualifications? Because she's visually, they make her seem like an Amelia Earhart type of like, impressive lady soldier, adventurer, but it's never really clear. And then at all the times where you think that would come into play, it doesn't. She never holds a gun or flies a plane and always lets Billy Zane do everything. So it's like, what?
But sometimes she wants to lead when they run away. That was basically what they did.
And he does not let her.
It's a
great movie.
Awesome. There's a lot of ins and outs. There's a lot of things that happen plot wise, but that's the general gist. And hey, spoiler alert. Phantom wins. Phantom saves the day.
Yeah, she's sent to go find out what's going on in the jungle. She gets kidnapped by Catherine Zeta-Jones. Billy Zane breaks her out of a ship. They both chase Drax to New York City. We realize that they were friends when they were kids because he was schooled in America for some reason. And then they find two skulls. Two skulls lead to the third skull. The third skull is somewhere in like an Asian, vague Asian setting. They go to find the third skull. They fight some pirates. Submarine. Billy Zane wins. Boom.
So here's my experience watching this movie again, and I feel like I'm feeling like we can all relate to dusting off a movie that you haven't seen in a long time as a kid, but you decide like, I loved that movie. This was a movie that I was like, I had rediscovered when we were talking about it last time.
and then only fond memories.
Only fond memories. Something caused me to even want to go so far as to literally make fan-made comics of this movie. It was one that got viewed a bunch as a kid. And then in watching it, I started to have this existential crisis because, guys, there's some it doesn't hold up from in many regards, but I'll say primarily they don't treat women very well in this movie. And it gave me a real head scratch moment, kind of like a moment where I'm like, did this subconsciously shape some of my viewpoints about how like the inner workings of the world go? Like, did my spongy kid brain decide that like, oh yeah, that's how gender roles work? And women are essentially used in this movie as straight, like comedically props.
Yeah. Because even Catherine Zeta-Jones is like introduced as like, okay, she's just here as like an ass kicker. She like comes in and is like taking over the ship. And then the second like hot Billy Zane is around, she's just like hyper sexual and stops doing anything that she cared about. Is just like, oh, I got a crush on him. Do you have a crush on him? We all got crushes. Yeah. I think you're in love. You guys got crushes. It's pretty bad.
There's a lot of just like willy-nilly kissing going on in there too, or it's just like I can't remember the paper tycoon's niece, our female lead. She's like at this party and then is in like the back of the mansion, and then this like suitor just comes up to just straight up just like is just leaning over the side of her and then just pulls her in for a kiss and then like lets her go back to eating her food. Catherine Zeta-Jones just kisses
which
Billy
was
Zane.
Just a very large mayonnaise sandwich. She slathers mayonnaise on it for the first like 3 minutes she's on screen. She's just mayonnaising
She just got back from the Yukon, you know? You gotta start building up that layer again for warmth.
Yeah.
It was it was a profound experience in just like how not only the world has changed, but how much like the movies at large have changed. But also it was interesting in watching it with some more like hindsight and having known more about movies. There's some like direct rip-off stuff going on in there. Like the opening scene is so much Indiana Jones. Like literally when the Phantom comes in and is knocking the henchman out of the truck, I want to see a side-by-side split screen of when Indiana Jones and Raiders is knocking out the Nazi that's taking the Ark of the Covenant in the truck, and then this scene, because I want to say even the choreography and the angles are identical. It's insane.
It's very... Yeah, it's like, it's in that like, is it an homage or are you just straight ripping it?
Right.
I looked up the director, Simon Windsor. I would bet you dollars to donuts. What is that phrase, by the way?
That means you pay someone in donuts to
but is that
eat them and then you make a mukbang video, and that gets you money in ad share.
So it's a 1-to-1 ratio, or the idea is like if you're betting, you're getting a higher payout because the donuts can turn back into more money through your mukbang.
Yes, donuts are higher.
Share. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, dollars to mukbang donuts that Simon Windsor got this job. First of all, let me just say, if I as a child like cared about who directed films and sought out the films of who directed, as I do now, I would have been all about Simon Windsor in the early 90s.
Okay.
Free Willy, Operation Dumbo Drop, Drop, and then the Phantom. I was right. I was in the Simon Windsor pocket. But the thing that got him this gig, I would bet, donuts for donuts. I'm leveling up. He directed many episodes and made-for-TV movies of young Indiana Jones.
Okay. There's our Indiana Jones connection, too.
He's like, he's living in the Indiana Jones world right around the time he's making Phantom, so he's just straight ripping.
I wonder also if maybe there's a lot, I mean, it seemed like it was based off of the character, the Phantom, from another book
from comics.
From comics. So not knowing anything about the original comics, I wonder if there were a lot of things in this movie that required some, like some of the things that seemed a little ridiculous had to be in there because that little ridiculous thing was back in the comics from the 50s.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some of that. I mean, it seems like in reading in the 5-minute Wikipedia I did about it, it seemed like they changed it from like a African colonial setting to an Asian colonial setting, which is an interesting, I mean, they're both terrible, and I'm curious why in 1996 one was deemed more acceptable.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there were some updates and modernizations, but some big callbacks. What are the classic gotta have 'em Phantom moments?
Right. Apparently, I'll say one of the moments that struck me most that was never addressed. They never talked about it again, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? What just happened there? Is that in our cold open when these henchmen finally get the skulls? Yeah. This one guy's just going digging around gets this skull out of a box, and there's this mummy there, and then the mummy's hands
Yep.
Jolt to life. Yep. Choke him to death.
Yep.
They like go to their buddy and say like, well, he's dead. We got the skull. So
and they flee and they leave the body.
And they leave the body.
It should be said, this all happens incredibly slowly. There is so much time to run up there and grab him. They just shoot at a weird mummy from afar. There's no major effort made to save this guy.
No, and just the amount of like up to that point, I didn't realize this was like a magic movie or that there was. I thought it was like it was undercutting all of that stuff. Like the Phantom is a ghost, but actually he's a real person. So when suddenly this mummy comes to life, I was like, okay, where's the contraption, the ropes that are going to show that it was a Phantom's like little booby trap that made it look like no, just a mummy straight up, just
very
slowly choke this guy. My windscreen popped off, by the way. Do you see this?
Oh, just hold it the whole time. This is great for our video viewers. Chris, that leads us perfect transition to one of the recurring segments on FhanZane. There's a couple of great recurring segments that just come back every time we do an episode of FhanZane. This one is called, hold on, there's a song. Did you find it? Distracting. Did you find it? Distracting. Did you find it distracting? Did you find it distracting? Obviously, you found it distracting that the magic of that choking mummy was never brought up again and didn't seem to work in a very clear, understandable way. I've got a few other did you find it distracting questions where I will ask you a question. You'll tell me, did you find it distracting?
I'm ready. And my answer is going to be yes to all of them, I think.
Did you find it distracting that the villains on the boat, they get attacked by the wolf. Billy Zane has a wolf named Devil, and they get attacked by that wolf who comes in at the perfect moment to save Phantom. And what's the woman's name? They didn't make us.
Amelia Earhart.
Amelia Earhart.
Yeah.
The wolf comes in to save them. He attacks James Remar, throws him down. Oh my gosh. Then Phantom escapes. Then we cut back multiple times to them watching Phantom escape, and the wolf is just hanging out. And they're just chilling with the wolf attacks them, and then they're just pretty fine with the wolf from that point on. Nobody's like, and kill this guy's wolf. Nobody even locks it up, and they're all friendly with the wolf. Did you find that distracting?
Yes, Jack. Yes.
Did you find it distracting, Chris? So it's been 400 years that we've had the Phantom in this jungle, living in the Bengala jungle. Did you find it distracting? One, that somehow it's still the Phantom is like an old British guy. They say it's like 20 generations, and like not once did they. But more specifically, did you find it distracting that we never hear about any of the moms and wives? Like, it's a big plot point that they pass this on. And did they never have, what if they have two sons? Who becomes the Phantom? What if they have daughters? What do they do? What if they have a son who's not that into being the Phantom? What if they have a bookish son? Did you find this distracting?
I found it an opportunity for countless spin-offs for some kid that's making comic books up in South Lake Tahoe somewhere.
Is that what it covered? Were you the rejected could have been Phantom?
I have to find these because I hope that I was like doing God's work by plugging all the plot holes. That's what I really hope my little kid brain was doing.
Did you find it distracting that when they flee from New York to whatever the name of the like mysterious Bermuda Triangle like island of our third act is, that Billy Zane jumps on the side of the plane and hangs on to the side of the plane for the duration of what had to be at least an 18-hour biplane flight. And when we cut to him, they jostle the plane a little, and he like almost falls off and catches himself and is like, whew, but this is the end of an 18-hour flight where that has happened hundreds of times.
But every time they cut to him in that montage, you can see he's a little cold and it's a laborious thing. So my guess is, I think it wasn't too distracting for me, Jack.
Okay,
I think the performance was strong.
That's fair. They sold it. Did you find it distracting? And this is the thing that I found most distracting of all. Did you find it distracting? What is the dad? So his dad is dead, and his dad keeps appearing to talk to him. This is a common trope. A lot of
Obi-Wan
times,
situation.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just like a vision that the main character is sort of processing this loss by talking to that character. That's definitely not what this is, because the dad gives a ton of important exposition that only he could know.
Yes.
So is he?
So somehow the presumption is that
he's a real ghost?
The presumption is that then if he is just in Billy Zane's brain, Billy Zane somehow subconsciously knows all of the plot.
I don't think it's that. I think he's a ghost, and maybe it is that. Either way, I found that very distracting.
I
think
distracting.
He's a real ghost.
Then that might be the real Phantom. So you are a Phantom.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It sort of belies the entire premise. The premise is, it seems like this is a guy who can live forever, but actually the true secret is that it's just a generational family that each one takes up the mantle of the last one as they die. So the myth is that he's a ghost, but the truth is he's just a regular guy who can be killed. But actually, he's also a ghost.
I wonder if there is, now it just makes me want to make it better, but there is something in the movie that they just straight up, he appears, and every time he appears, there's generally someone around that's like, who you talking to, man? Don't worry about it. Step on it. And then it's
Al,
always this.
You're talking about his
yes.
great interactions with Al, the fantastic taxi cab driver.
Also, it just feels like it's painted as this quirky, fun thing that he does that just is talking to a void in space next to him. But what I'm thinking that could be interesting if they were to elaborate more on it is that by having the Phantom has a duality to it, the term the Phantom, because yes, in its current form, being the arm of the Phantom in the real world by being the son of the father that died previous, you are the ghost who walks because you're doing the bidding of the actual ghost.
Yeah.
And then you are the unfinished you are finishing the unfinished business of the previous ghost. And then when that's done and then you die, your son has to finish your unfinished business.
Wait, was this movie awesome?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I found it distracting.
I found it distracting. On the question of is this movie awesome, that leads us perfectly into our next segment, which also has a song. Here we go. Hold on. Yes. I don't have a name. This one, the song goes, oh, can you fill it? Yeah. Can you fill it? Oh, fill it. Fill in the review.
And to be clear, were you saying fill it and feel it, or was both, it always fill it? Okay.
It's both. And
is
one time it was like filet. Yeah.
Okay.
But the way they say it in England, where it's a fillet steak.
I want to fill it.
Hey, a little fillet steak. Chris, I've got some reviews here for the movie The Phantom. I've left portions of them blank, and I'd like you to fill them in.
Great.
Peter Travers of the Rolling Stone says, expect this ghost of bad movies past to walk quickly to the back bins of Blockbuster, where it should be filed under a helpful heading: A, do not rent; B, monotonous and juvenile; or C, unwatchable schlock.
Monotonous, juvenile.
Expect this ghost of bad movies past to walk quickly to the back bins of Blockbuster, where it should be filed under a helpful heading: monotonous and juvenile. That's correct, Chris. You have 1 point in Can You Feel It? Can you feel it? Give me a cut of the feel it.
Love that song.
This is an open-ended question. There's not multiple choice.
Okay.
Jonathan Rosenbaum, by the way, Peter Travers, very, very bad review. Didn't like it.
Okay.
Just if you were wondering there, Jonathan Rosenbaum of the Chicago Reader says, if these two characters were swapped, Would any significant nuances be lost? Is an important question that he asks. Which two characters does Jonathan Rosenbaum could be swapped without any significant nuance being lost?
I would say the two female leads, probably, right?
No, he asks if Treat Williams were the Phantom and Billy Zane the capitalist villain, would any significant nuances be lost? Though I think you bring up an interesting point. Both the villain and the lead have sort of similar characterizations of like, you know, grin through their teeth, say whatever they feel is on their mind, do whatever they want, white guys. And both of their female sidekicks also very similarly characterized. Jonathan Rosenbaum of the Chicago Reader did not like this movie either. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times says The Phantom is one of the blank, what adjective, movies in any genre I have ever seen. A, most ambitious. B, best looking. C, cheesiest. D, most derivative.
Most derivative.
The Phantom is one of the best looking movies in any genre I have ever seen. Roger Ebert fucking loved The Phantom. 3.5
I should have
stars.
known you were going to be flipping it. I should have known you would have been a positive in there. 3.5 stars.
From elsewhere in Roger Ebert's 3.5 stars review, he writes, Christy Swanson, whose Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a cult favorite, is blank and blank as Diana. I'm going to give you a list of adjectives. I wrote down 10. I want you to pick the 2 that he used in a positive review to describe. That doesn't mean he's positive about Christy Swanson. Maybe it does mean he's unbelievably positive about Christy Swanson.
Right.
2 adjectives. Christy Swanson from Buffy the Vampire Slayer is blank and blank as Diana. Here's 10. Effortless, stiff, unlikable, plucky, winning, forgettable, miscast, athletic, intriguing, overly modern.
I'm going to say this is his negative cut. This is a 3.5 star review. If he said it was the best looking, my guess is that performatively and perhaps plot wise is where this movie was lacking. I think that landed firmly, likely on some of these female characters' shoulders, not by fault of their own. So my guess is that it is stiff and forgettable.
Christy Swanson, whose Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a cult favorite, is plucky and athletic as Diana.
God.
Plucky
and athletic.
And athletic.
Is that just your way of saying, like, I gotta say, I just think she's so hot. How do I say it? How do I say it?
I just think that body, though, you know? She's not great, but boy, she moves around with
what
the
is
fluidity.
Plucky? What is the definition of plucky? Again, that's like...
As like the character, describing the character as plucky makes sense, but what about her acting can be described as plucky? Like, she sucks in a lot of the scenes, but she kept showing up? Like, is that what makes her acting plucky?
Is her acting athletic, like in the way that a singer who's doing choreography on stage while also singing could be deemed athletic? She's running, but she's delivering those lines athletically.
I think that's what we got. And the timer's going off. I didn't have my ringer on, I realize. But the timer's going off.
That's 30.
That's 30.
What a breakneck pace.
Do you want to take a minute to summarize Phantom before we end PhanZane?
I did have one thing I wanted to note.
Closing thoughts
was
on
in my
Phantom.
head.
Yes.
We were talking about the need to just briefly touch on the actor who was portraying the villain.
Treat Williams.
I didn't know him from other stuff. I couldn't recognize him from other things. So to me, I was like, felt miscast. His voice is so high and nasally too that it wasn't in the conniving, kind of evil in this place. It was much more like I'm kind of a salesman and I'm gonna have a good time here. And then the scene though that I will say seemed like I hope he was having a good time because that's the only way I could justify the performance is when he's holding the 2 fucking skulls and then he's in the museum and glass starts destroying everywhere.
Beautiful stained glass portraiture.
They have like 8 different camera angles set up, and they go with these comedic looks where he whips up to the windows, and clearly, I think they probably said, "Hey, listen, man, improvise. Say some stuff about how awesome it is." And he says, Incredible. Can't believe it. How amazing.
I love it.
Wow. Incredible. Yes. My favorite. Look at this. It felt like just a list of synonyms.
I think also this is like early comic book movies, right? So I kind of feel like there are things that feel like they're thinking about how do you adapt a comic book to me like he's giving us pow.
So much that it was.
He has one of my favorite lines I've seen a villain deliver in a very long time. His delivery of when the guy is he's giving his evil plan, and he's talking about how when we get two skulls, we'll combine the two skulls and we'll blah blah blah.
That's good. That's a good impression, by the way.
Thank you.
Lean into that.
And somebody keeps interrupting him. He's like, but you only have one skull. You only got the one skull. Well, what does it matter? You only got the one skull. And he says, Ray, I'm going to get the other skull, Ray.
That's right.
It's so colloquial in this thing. He's like, Ray, I'm going to get the other skull. He says Ray so many times. I love him. I love Treat Williams in this. And then he throws a spear through a guy like in a boardroom meeting.
I mean,
he kills a guy with a microscope. I think that villain is a blast.
Tonally, it was so many different places that I think I got uncomfortable not knowing what to latch onto because it did get colloquial 100%. At certain points. Also, like when he throws the spear through the guy, there's like a hole that was like, I thought just very fun. Like, oh, this is like the moment after the moment. That's like a fun thing to do. They show he pulls the spear out, the guy falls to the ground. And then, of course, if the spear goes all the way through a guy and pins him to the wall, there's going to be something messed up on the wall behind the guy's corpse. Yeah. And then just shows him kind of like just fiddle with his wallpaper there for a second. That's funny.
The weird, like modern stuff, like I found the Diana character to have a lot of weird colloquialisms and feel very modern and occasionally incredibly low stakes. Like there's a line at some point, like they grab the Phantom and they're like pulling him off to like torture him somewhere. And she says in the like most relatable way I've ever heard, come on, let him go. Come on. No stakes whatsoever. Just come on, let him go.
Let him go, Ray. I'll find the skull.
Come on, I'll find the skull, Ray.
And then but then you also intercut that with scenes like being on the pontoon of a plane that's about to crash into a wall, and then jumping off of it onto a horse, riding at full gallop next to it. I thought that was great.
The practical stunts were a blast. It was genuinely very fun to see all of this like insane stuff being done by people in a way that like, you know, a lot of that wouldn't. This is a friggin' expensive ass movie.
Yes.
in a way that like current very expensive movies are so much more. There's a lot of CGI. There's a lot of things that are meant to feel impossible, and this is all stuff that's like, no, yep. Looks like they did it.
And you look at the streets in like their version of New York and the streets, and you look at how many cars and extras and stuff. Yeah. It's like, I think those were all really there.
Yeah, I think we're on a backlot and we have just like hundreds of friggin' people.
What I'm finding about FhanZane, Jack, if I may, in the dismount.
And we're out of it now.
In the dismount, right, is just to say that like, it's so crazy that a single movie can yield still so much to talk about. How many episodes in are we on FhanZane? Wow.
Yeah, this is episode 25, and we've got seasons left to cover.
Incredible.
FhanZane. Who knows what else we can find distracting years from now?
But I think those theme songs are perfectly honed.
They were all very well rehearsed.
Do we talk? We save talking about our podcasts.
We'll talk about them both at the end. Why don't we just jump straight into whatever you got?
Well, here's the thing. That I thought, Jack, was incredibly well structured. I thought that you brought a lot of research to it.
Thank you.
I'm now going to propose.
If you were wondering why I was texting you like, sorry, running behind, give me 5, it's because I was transcribing Peter Travers' review of The Phantom.
Well, that work has gone far and beyond whatever work is going to go into this next one. Okay. Because, Jack, we're going to do the complete opposite. For my podcast that we're going to be doing in this episode, I wanted to set us up for a huge fail. I wanted to set us up for a challenge, because if we're taking this seriously, we got to go into territory in podcasts that we might not feel fully comfortable with, Jack. Okay?
Okay.
If we're going to really check off a lot of boxes here. So what I'm proposing right now is that we're going to do a 30-minute improvised narrative podcast.
Okay.
That's going to be we're going to be playing the characters. I might put in little sound effects. I don't know. But I have 3 kind of worlds that we can pick from, okay? I'm going to start my timer now.
Reference here. Okay, please, yes.
I'm going to start my timer now so we at least have some parachute on the horizon here.
You and I did a fair amount of improv together in college 15 years ago, and both of us kind of hit the wall at like long form. We were like, I don't know, I'm not really that good at it.
We
were solid.
We were fine short form guys.
We were fine short form guys.
I don't know how I feel about that. New choice. That really hurts my feelings. New choice. Good idea. That was the length at which
we gave up on long form because it felt like a lot of work to get good at, and we never put in that work.
And so now I'm asking that we in a public forum force ourselves for the first time in many years to do this. Okay. So
great.
As someone who knows very little about podcasts, I do know that there are podcasts out there where it's improvised podcasts.
Sure.
And I thought that we could try a version of our own. And again, I'm the one that's proposing this, so I may also be setting us up as someone who doesn't really know much about podcasts. I'm setting us up for a world that's going to be very hard to play out over the course of this 30 minutes.
Okay.
But I have 3 things for us to choose from.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask that you select the one that's most fun sounding to you. And then, Jack, we're doing it in real time.
We're
just going to go for it.
Is there there's not like a suggestion or anything. We're just going to be you're going to give a world, and we will immediately launch into the world of that podcast for 30 minutes minus however long I can stall this decision.
However long both of us do our circle talks now. Yeah, we're kind of giving it times.
And I noticed that you're circling, and that makes me want to circle.
I'll say that each of these ideas, I was trying to think of one of something that would like also keep the idea of podcasting a self-referential thing in these worlds. Like that.
Like there to be a built-in narrative device that allows like first person talking to
potential if we wanted that. Okay. Here's my 3 options. Okay. Option 1. This is the world of this podcast is that one of us is a human in a witness relocation program on an alien planet.
Okay.
And we are we're a former journalist or something that's kind of documenting the experience on this alien planet.
You've got to report home to your rep, your FBI rep or whatever. Yeah.
Right. And maybe you're with a family there. Maybe there's aliens coming in. You can go walk around, stuff like that.
Great.
Next one is similarly sci-fi.
Yeah. And all of these, I'm assuming, are going to be real ideas that we've talked about as pilot ideas.
Yes, of course. This next one is intergalactic Noah's Ark. All right, you're a bunch of creatures maybe on an ark.
Okay.
Another one is like Bond and like the agent in his ear. So like maybe this is more of like a secret agent type that's on the field, and it's almost like in between the moments of what might be going down in the action. You know what I mean? Like just kind of like a real time.
Okay.
How you doing? Kind of chat while we're building now.
I'm gonna go with the first one so that we have the improvised out of just saying alien words when we are panicking and trying to fill time. We can just go like, but I lost my klopspupptibly.
That's good, dude. Save that. Okay. We gotta save these. This is the good stuff. Okay.
Okay. What is this podcast called, Chris?
That's a great question. I'm gonna say it's okay. I got a couple options for you. I think we can go like tape 83.
Okay.
So this is like, the 83rd documented tape.
You'd like to start in the middle, real hot start. That's good.
Yeah. Or it could be Spacecode 96451, like a little area code.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, where the hell am I?
I like Spacecode 96541.
Okay.
I don't remember if that was the same number you say.
The number changes every episode. That's the charm of it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he's constantly being relocated? Do we have to end? Does it have to end with him being sent to a new place? Okay. This is...
yeah, this is Spacecode 96452. There's probably going to be some music that plays. Yes, this is a fun improvised narrative podcast. I'm going to now get my brain into that phase. Yeah. Okay.
All right, we don't want to discuss casting out of time. One of us will be the guy and some. Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll figure out where it goes. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Let me get this turned back on here. Get this kind of figured out. We like this. This is good, right? It's like me and I'm the guy.
Stay in it.
Okay. I'm not going to bail yet. Okay. Let me turn on recording. Testing. Audio. Yes. You'd think I'd have the hang of this by now. Bit of a challenge here.
Message.
Okay.
Recording message.
Hi, Cindy. This is Mike. This is the 83rd tape in my various recordings. Obviously, wanting me to send updates as we go on. Things
if
are.
You would like to leave a message.
No.
Now.
God damn it. Okay.
If you would like to leave a message, press 1 now.
Okay, let me put. Yeah. Okay. 1. Okay. Yes. Hello. Sorry.
Message recording.
Cindy, this is Mike. I'm sorry if you got a like half message from me just a second ago. I was struggling kind of with the interface there, but I just wanted to kind of give you some updates. I'm okay. Things are okay out here. My host family has been nice, I guess, if you could describe them as that. I'm seemingly healthy. Miss my family. I'm gonna be honest with you. Miss my wife and kids, but I understand the needs to not be there right now. But I wanted to, I just kind of wanted to check in and ask if maybe you could send a message to them, just saying that Dad is okay. Everything's gonna be fine. Intergalactic politics are what they are. Dad did see a space murder he shouldn't have, and it seems as though some people don't want him to testify down the road, but he's going to do what he has to for the better of his planet and his species and his family. So if you could send that along, I don't know if you can edit it or snip it. I don't want the like lead in of my like thing to you with this. Oh God.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, Gravy.
It's David. Yeah.
Oh, hey. Yeah, David. You ready for dinner's up?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Cindy, I got to go. I'm going to head off to dinner. See if this is something I can actually eat. But again, the family's been great. Just give me any updates if you hear one way or the other. Really want to go home. So
who are you talking to, Gravy, David?
I'm talking to Cindy. You know, the person that's kind of handling the relocation stuff.
Oh, okay, chill.
So I just need to finish this.
If you want dinner,
I do want dinner. Hang on. Okay, Cindy, I gotta go. I'm going. All right, great. Just gonna keep this recording for posterity. All right. Hey, everybody. Sorry about that. Oh, look at. Okay. Wow. What a meal here.
Hey, Gravy. I just wanted to double check.
David.
How secret? Just scale of 1 to 10. How secret is your presence here?
Okay, should be.
Like, I know that you're David Gravy,
right?
AKA Mike. Shh. Not gonna tell anybody. I know that. My wife knows that. Mm-hmm. And my kids know that. Mm-hmm. My question is, 1 to 10. Nobody I tell? Couple people I tell.
Nobody. Okay. It's 10. 10.
Starting.
But nobody.
Starting reflexively. This should have already been the policy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this is okay because this is very important. Again, if they find out where I am, that means that I won't be able to live anymore, essentially, and I can't I wouldn't be able to be around to help shovel the schlop for you and tuck in the tuckers.
But it's like, who's the mailman gonna tell?
Everybody.
Well, mailmen keep good secrets, right? Because they have to open the mail, check to make sure it's not a government conspiracy, and then keep whatever was in there a little secret just for themselves, right? So they're good secret keepers. So I kind of feel like tell a mailman. That's like telling the wind, you know? I do realize that the wind can also talk here.
Yes.
So I understand, but the wind also generally good at keeping secrets. So I feel like shouldn't be that concerned, right?
I would ask, as I realize I'm imposing a lot on you here.
Yep.
And I really appreciate all that you've done for me to kind of like help me feel more at home. The idea that you all, grew out arms and legs to look more humanoid.
And to give hugs, Gravy.
I love your hugs.
Yeah.
Little sloppy, but I love your hugs. I love that you've also, upped the gravity in here so I can actually walk and kind of function. That's nice.
Just trying to make you comfortable.
I would ask one last thing, and that's that you'd tell nobody, especially the wind or the mailman, that I am who I am. Keep calling me Gravy. I realize I'm quick to react that I want one of my other names, David or Mike. Mike being obviously my given middle name.
That's the secret one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here's my thing, and this is on you. This is just like, quick, what do you want to do about this? Should we kill the mailman?
Did you tell the mailman?
I told the mailman on like day one because we didn't have this discussion yet.
We have to kill the mailman.
All right.
We have to kill the mailman.
All right.
I've met the mailman 3 times. He's awesome.
Obviously, everybody's met the mailman, and he's a great keeper of secrets.
When did you tell the mailman, and how many other creatures could he have told?
Day 1. So it's been, 83 days based on me listening in on your logs?
You've been listening to my logs?
I was listening through the door because I was like coming up to knock to tell you that dinner was ready.
I did remember that now.
And so I announced myself.
I hear that. I did hear you. I just wasn't sure at what point you heard.
Himself. Okay, don't make this about us. This is not about us.
I'm sorry. I know. It's just I'm feeling a little hot right now. It's probably from this it's either the magma that's in front of us that I'm assuming is dinner, or it's the fact that
I said it was gonna get cold. And the time horizon on that is about 45 years. It's gonna slowly cool. So get to eating, bud.
I lost my appetite, okay? And that's no offense to y'all.
Hey, you better get some food in you if we're gonna go hunt down a freaking mailman. Do you know what kind of defenses an armored mail truck has to make sure that the government secrets are kept? Okay,
I don't.
So you better eat up, bud.
All right, here I go. I'm gonna just with my hand?
Yeah, I mean, you can use a fork. I mean, Jesus.
I don't know the custom. That's what you said, right?
Jesus? That's the...
Yes, Jesus was that you guys are actually catching on to a lot of our colloquialisms pretty quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of us are making accommodations for this living arrangement.
I'm trying to eat lava.
Okay.
I'm trying to do my part here, and you're asking me to eat a magnanimous rock. Is it magnanimous? Is it magnanimous? It's not magnanimous. It might be magnanimous.
It's not like a gregarious... It's like a magmanate?
Let me take a bite. Ow. Ow. That is... Okay, yeah. Hands are blistered. I'll use a fork.
Thank you.
Can I...
Meanwhile, on the mail route.
I hate this job. Always keeping secrets. Always keeping secrets with no one ever wanting to hear what I have to say. But boy, do I have a secret that could really get me a promotion. That could really get me something along the way.
Hey, Kevlar!
Hey, Barl.
What's the mail brought in today?
Well, looks like we got 3 slobbies. There you go. Got another... Googles.
these things really pile up on you. I mean, you pay them off, and then the next week, and then the next week, and then the next week.
Got another Google.
All right. Yep.
You know, never mind. I just had I want to get something off my chest, okay?
Which one? Front chest? Back chest? Mid chest? Okay, go for it.
So, I feel like I'm always on this job, keeping everybody's governmental secrets.
That's the job.
Right, but I'm starting to feel just a little bit like no one ever wants to hear what I know. I'm out here giving all these Googles and all these bops, but do you want to hear something cool?
I mean, sure, I do. I do also have to get inside, but
no, come on, real quick. I just have to get this off my back.
Go for it. My mother's here, so I don't want to leave her. But go for it. No, go ahead.
Oh, are those all your kids?
Yeah. And she's like good at watching them. Like she's good at it, but it doesn't like fill her with joy. You know, she's like skilled at watching my kids, but I can tell it's like a big ask every time I do it. Like it really wears on her, you know? So it's like I'd love to pop back in and just kind of relieve her, but also I'm here for you, my mailman who I see every once in a while. Go for it.
I appreciate that. And just to be clear, do you tell your kids and your mother everything?
No.
Oh, okay. So this secret could be safe with you?
I mean, safe from my 3-year-old child, yeah. I don't tell her everything. What would that relationship be? That's so unhealthy if you tell your 3-year-old everything.
I don't have kids, so I don't know how this goes.
Okay.
I'm just having a bad day. I just need to talk to someone.
Just get it out. Go ahead, get it out.
There's a human hiding up the street.
A what?
One of those bona fide, true to form, humanoid humans.
Why? How did he get here? Why?
From what I've read, and you won't tell your 3-year-old this?
I'm not telling my 3-year-old basically anything. Like, I tell her what colors are which colors. I don't tell her friggin' my business. Just let alone some human.
Just to say, this information is very sensitive.
Yep.
And I know 3-year-olds talk a lot.
Uh-huh.
Is that true? Do 3-year-olds talk a lot?
They're expressing themselves, yeah. They're sort of, language is fresh. She's been talking for like a year and a half. So like language is still very fresh. She sort of will name everything she sees. She wants to sort of go on little tangents. They talk a lot, yeah. But not about secrets, because I'm not telling them any.
Great. Because this just feels great. I can feel my back deflating as I say this to you.
Okay, so why is the
witness
human
relocation. Apparently, from what I gather, this human witnessed the Xanderfoos. You know, the Xanderfoos family?
The Xanderfoos murder?
Yeah, he was there. It all happened in his backyard.
I'm glad that's off your chest, but you don't have to worry. I mean, that means nothing to me. I'm not going to tell anybody. But I might! Oh no, the wind!
Wait.
Oh no, the wind!
Your secret's not safe with me!
Okay, there's the mailman.
Gravy, you've been saying there's the mailman to hype yourself up for like 6 minutes now. I'm saying, yep. So friggin' do something about it. You want to keep your secrets, do something about it. We don't know when it could be too late. We don't know when it's telling somebody.
I'm a little hesitant to jump out of this bush because of all the different, you said there's a bunch of security measures. Just go over it one more time.
Okay, every bush comes with a laser grid. And when you exit the bush, the laser grid is tripped. And then the bush's siren rings. And then the bush's bear trap is deployed. And then the bear trap rings its own siren, which sends out a signal. And the only way to dismantle all of a bush's security features is with wishes.
Okay.
Have you used any?
Not yet, no.
All right, well, there you go, man.
Okay, so I have to, is the best, okay, just to be clear, the best bet is to just run out of this bush quick as I can, let all of those things happen, make a wish, disarm it, shoot the mailman.
Yeah, well, then you got to deal with all the security features on the mail bus.
Well, that's what I wanted to...
Were you asking about that?
Yes,
okay.
that's what I meant. I thought, okay. I thought that was just...
Well, there's a great vulnerability in those. And listen, I don't believe in coincidences. Okay?
Okay.
Would you believe that I engineered that very mail bus? Or do you remember that my job is librarian and so I don't believe in coincidences. So what do you think? Do you think I know it or do you think I'm a librarian?
I think you're a librarian is what it sounds like.
Well, coincidence you might, because when I was in college, I worked on those very mail buses. Here's the vulnerability.
Okay.
Okay, upper left corner of that window, you see that there? There's a little peephole that they have to use when they telescope the telescope out to see if there's any mail poachers around.
Right.
That's going to be, you want a high angle, shoot right there.
Shoot through that.
Yeah.
And then that angle will assumedly direct target to the
then
mailman?
you have to be a good shot, but I was assuming you were, right? Aren't you some sort of master criminal from Earth?
No, I just saw somebody I saw what looked to me like a gas cloud kind of just like dissipated. So I just thought it was a little cloud in my backyard, and I found out later it was some sort of a murder or something.
You didn't tell me you saw the Sanderflu's murder. Well, then you better kill this mailman.
Oh no! That's my plan. Listen, actually, you know what? Maybe if it weren't too much trouble, you could do it. You have all the secrets. You know all the stuff. You know how to use this gun. This is a gun from your planet.
Hold on, listen, and I don't want to like couch therapist here.
Okay.
What's the phrase? I don't want to armchair therapist you right now.
Yeah.
But
good. Thank you again for using our colloquialisms. I appreciate that.
I'm learning. Jesus freaking Christ, man. I don't want to be an armchair quarterback. Monday morning dipshit.
All right.
Dollars for donuts, this friggin' asshole. Those are all your phrases, right?
That was most of the ones I could remember and put in a book, yes.
I don't want to armchair therapist you here, but are you sure you want to witness a second alien murder? Doesn't that seem like you're just going to be shipped to another planet where someone's going to be after you for wanting you to testify in my trial after I kill a mailman? Like, this feels like a cycle that's just going to repeat itself 84 times, you know? I don't think you want that shit.
You're probably right. That's probably not a good idea for this situation to be somewhat repeatable and kind of like cyclical. But you know what?
So just kill him yourself.
I think you should do it.
All right, dude. Okay, I mean, I got a wife and kids, and they're sitting, 3 blocks from here, but whatever, man.
What if we meet in the middle here, okay? I go through all these bush traps.
Yeah.
You exploit the weakness up top. I pull the trigger. Accomplices. Right in the middle.
Okay, so I'm just aiming?
You're just aiming, I'm pulling the trigger.
All right, fine. Cool, dude.
All right.
I mean, gravy, is your friggin' funeral...
Well, you don't seem very excited about this plan. I'm trying to make sure that we're on the same page here.
Your plan is the same plan that I had, except I'm a friggin' tripod in this plan, so that's fine.
You're the one that also said I had to kill him. There's no other option, and you're right. I see that now. But I just felt like you were very quick to want to kill this guy. Is there something personal that you have against the mailman at all? Wait.
I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. What? We went to college together. He didn't like me.
Let's do this.
And I put in so many good sound effects.
And there's gonna be a lot of sound effects right now. And this is okay. So we're accomplices, and we're doing this.
Stop right there!
The wind.
That's right. The wind, who also happens to be chief assassin for the Zanderflu's gang.
I'm not who you think I am. I'm just a normal gooplaksh here. I live here. I'm a normal gooplaksh.
You're a human. Your secret's out, and I'm gonna suck myself right out of your lungs, Buster.
No.
Pretty cool way for the wind to kill somebody you maybe didn't think about.
I don't have lungs. I'm just one of you guys that eats lava. That's all I am.
You're very clearly a human. and even your friend looks more like a human than he usually does, it's very obvious.
Well, you grew arms and legs.
Yeah. It's a huge tell. Why would that, if you were disguised, why wouldn't you become more like us rather than having us become more like you and just make your house a dead giveaway? I'm very distracted by this. I find this very distracting.
If you like distracting things, we should talk about a podcast I listened to the other day. That's on a tangent.
Oh! Quick, Gravy! Run! I'm gonna take care of the wind for you. Yes, you're gonna witness this wind murder, but you're gonna be safe. And at this point, that seems like the best compromise, I guess. That's sort of like we're running out of options.
Yeah, I'd say, here, let me help you. This will make it not fully your fault that you kill the wind. Yep. I didn't eat your dinner. I kept the magnanimous rock all along on the side, because here's the secret. If you put it under the wind, heat rises.
We're gonna turn this bitch to steam. Was that over? If he was water, we turn it.
Yeah,
he's got water in him, right?
Yeah, it's humid out here.
Yeah. And then such good sound effects of the wind getting
wind
killed
and stuff. Also, it worked. It worked, but now I've witnessed another alien murder. Gosh.
Would you like to send a message? Would you like to send a message to Cindy?
Yes.
Would you like to send a message?
Gooplox, your name is Gooplox, right? All along?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think I've got to move on to another planet. Cindy just paged me.
Whoa, leaving a lot of friggin' wreckage in your wake, bro.
Well, yeah, I thought it was going to be an open and shut kind of clean cut thing here, but it got really complex and complicated in a way that I can't even keep up with anymore.
Wow, do you want to summarize? I can summarize for you.
That would probably be helpful, but the mailman's okay, it seems.
The mailman's fine, and I was thinking about it, like, him not liking me in college, not a great reason to kill somebody. So I was just like, what if I put, like, a little prank in the mail? Next time I put my mail out, I'll, like...
Oh, that's fun.
I'll put a little, like, stink bomb in there, and they'll be
he
like...
He seemed kind of unlikable, too. He kind of, like, was a bit of a jerk-sounding guy.
You get it. I mean, you get it, but that doesn't mean we need to kill somebody.
No,
like,
right.
The stakes of my college grudge are not that high.
Right.
So, to summarize, I told a little secret to the mailman who... despite us not getting along in college, I do still, I seek his approval. So, I was he came by with the mail, and I was like, I got a little secret to tell, because I'm, desperately trying to get this guy to like me, even though he's not a good friend, has never been there for me, has never taken an interest in my family. So, I told him a secret. It seemed like, from what we saw from the bushes, it seemed like he was going to tell somebody else I don't think we ever got their name. And then the wind found out, you get it. I mean, the wind found out, and then, I killed the wind. I mean, I killed, how can you, to the extent that you can, I killed that portion
Turned
of the
it to steam.
Yeah.
And then and it seemed like the mailman still told the other guy we saw, but we didn't shoot, we tried to shoot the mailman, we set off all those traps, and we got there, but the wind cut us off.
Yeah. So the mailman's still out there, and then the mailman obviously is gonna get me arrested, which is why, you're gonna be called upon as a witness in my murder trial against that portion of the wind.
Right.
I'm sorry, what is confusing here?
I think I was just caught up in the adrenaline of the whole thing. Now that my I have this thing called a heart, and now that my heart rate has kind of come down a little bit, I'm starting to
just wanted to recap.
See a little bit more clearly. Yeah,
right.
But I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for hosting me on this 83rd day of my intergalactic travels.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it seems like, I'll have to check back at another point, but Cindy's saying I have to move on because I think that I might be a bit in a bit more trouble out here.
Quick question, and this is just for my edification.
Yeah.
Not to Monday sorted quarterback. But this is day 83.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of how many of those days did you go to a new planet, tell somebody about the murder you witnessed, then have somebody else murder somebody to cover up the knowledge of you being a witness to a murder?
Funny you should ask. This is the 83rd time that's happened.
All right, well, this show fucking sucks. Repetitive ass bullshit.
You knew it was a show all along?
No, I'm saying, isn't that one of those idioms that you guys use? The show must go on. The show's over. The show sucks.
Yeah.
The show is full of plot holes and repetitive, and people are going to listen to the show and go like, but didn't he say that you've been here since day one, and on day one you told me the secret, but now it's day 83, so is he going to a new planet each time, or has he been on the same planet the whole time? And they're going to be like, did you find that distracting? I did. And I'm going to be like, get the heck out of here.
Well, sometimes life is more complex than just a simple story, and this is real. So that's where it gets layered and complicated. And the reality is that I've set up a situation now where I need to go to jail, or I need to go to intergalactic courtrooms 83 times in what is kind of an Inception-like courtroom system, kind of like to dismantle and kind of save my lives.
Have you learned anything?
Probably that it's not in my best interest to do anything other than staying in my room, sending messages, and just trying to chill. Got a big mouth on this guy.
Wow, beautiful. Message sent and lesson learned, Mike.
And that was 30. And that was 30. Yeah. Well, I mean, Jack, that's something, right?
I mean, there it is. Listen, if you're allowed to be very meta and call out all of your own plot holes, and you're allowed to just default to alien gibberish, then we're pretty good
improvisers. I fully, the moment when I became the postman or the mailman was the moment I was like, oh God, now this is longer than I had anticipated. And then when it became like plot and kind of like we're going to multiple scenes was then where it started to get intense. And then I realized, wait, we just did what I think was an incredibly entertaining and just like a really like polished, seemed like it was written type of
My question is,
podcast.
and this isn't usually the question we're going to be answering here, but that was, your pitch was that we do the pilot for an improvised podcast. My question is, did we just write the scripted pilot for a perfectly scripted podcast?
Right.
You know?
So in that way, it was a failure.
Should we, can I ask, should we call in as many favors as possible to get some very talented voice actors to perfectly recreate?
That was the writing session.
That was the quick brainstorm. We'll have somebody transcribe it word for word, and call in.
There was some full circle crap going on in there.
Listen, it wasn't that much worse than the Phantom.
Right. I feel like I think it was. I felt proud that we jumped into the ether together there. You know?
Yes.
So that's what we got to do in this thing, Jack. We got to be
That's what this has to be about.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of episode 2 of Chris and Jack's podcast, Pilot the Podcast. The thing we're going to start doing at the end of all of these is having a quick evaluation session of those two podcasts so that we can be kind of forming opinions about which one should be eventually our podcast. And of course, we're always very open to your feedback, input, and suggestions as well. So, Chris, let's talk about both of these podcasts and
asking, was this a good podcast?
Was this a good podcast?
Two different podcast ideas, and then do we vote between those two? Which one?
Yeah, let's pick which one we think would be more deserving of an episode 2. And my lean right now is neither burn them both. But, you know, here I'm going to lead us through. We came up with 3 questions that we think are relevant things to ask about each podcast. Let's start with PhanZane.
Great.
Question number 1. Was it fun? Did we have a good time?
I had a good time. PhanZane was fun.
I had a good time. I definitely got a little stressed out of like I watched that movie and I was like, should we have told people to watch this movie? This movie's like so dated and problematic and like, ooh, I got stressed by it. So then going into it and feeling like we should talk about some of that stuff, but also should we talk about all that stuff? So that there was a stressful undercurrent for me.
For sure. I see that. No, I think that I'd say on a fun scale.
Yeah.
That's probably a 3.5 out of 5. I'd go with Ebert.
Okay, cool. I will say there were some great segments. Segments were fun.
Segments
and I do
were great. And your songs, I thought, were very well polished and nice.
Thank you. They were as well rehearsed as podcast number 2.
Yeah.
Our second important question to ask about each podcast, was it repeatable? These are pilots. We're supposed to be making the first episode of what would then be a long-running, beloved podcast. How many more episodes do we think we have in our stomachs for PhanZane?
I think it's pretty hard to repeat PhanZane.
Let me tell you some other segments I thought about.
Great.
That could have been in this one. That could be hot in episode 2.
Okay.
A fun modern recast. Oh, who would we put in it if we were making it now?
We could do a 2-part episode about that.
2-part episode about that. A deep dive into what films influenced Phantom. What films did Phantom influence? Do you think when the trailers for Phantom was coming out, when people were getting hyped about Phantom before they saw the movie, do you think that is when a studio executive greenlit The Mummy? Because maybe they were like, Phantom's going to be fucking huge and we're going to need our version of Phantom. And that's what inspired The Mummy. And then little did they know, they blew right past Phantom.
Yep.
These are fun segments that could get us at least halfway into episode 2.
So is it fully repeatable? No. Is it 3/4 repeatable? Probably.
Maybe. That's overselling it. Yeah, I think kind of fun, not that repeatable.
I will say this though. In truth and honesty, I think it would be repeatable. I think it would become more and more fun the more we would repeat it. I mean,
if the premise was we had to keep watching Phantom, I think we would find new depths to plumb.
Yeah.
Question number 3, a very important question. Does this podcast add value to the world?
Wow. I mean, I'm trying to find it.
Because eventually we'll find a podcast that does.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right way to say no.
Yeah, I don't think anybody needs this podcast.
Did we need it, Jack?
Oh, it was very cathartic.
I think we needed it a little bit.
It's always important, I think, for us to re-examine things that we consider potentially influencing us. I think that's a very healthy thing to do as creatives and as people. And in that way, maybe there is some value that adds. It gives us a little bit of a feeling of like we all could benefit from finding the Phantom in ourselves to go back and re-examine. Is that a metaphor for your dad who can tell you exposition? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, very, very efficient plot device in life. Wouldn't mind that, honestly. If my dad, my dead dad came back and then just started just telling me important kind of facts about the trajectory of my life, but in a just a factual way, not like a cut with any emotion kind of thing. I'd be like, that'd be helpful. That undeniably helpful. Maybe Phantom was good. We keep circling back to that. Maybe we shouldn't be afraid to just love Phantom. Maybe the true version of the repeatable version of this podcast would be PhanZane : was it good? Somehow that's that inflection and comes across. Each episode will loop back and re-examine and great. Podcast number 2. What do we call it? Spacecode. Yeah. Spacecode 96154, something like that. Something like that. Yeah. And that's all in the title, by the way. It is also something like that. Podcast. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Was it fun? I had a good time. I had a great time in that one. I don't know if it's a fun listen. I had a good time. I think it was I got nervous midway through because I was like, oh, we're really in it now. And now there's things that are there's a lot of plates that are spinning in my head now that I feel like we need to kind of keep track of. So then it became a little bit work in my head that I didn't do a good job of. But I feel like we dust it off more and then get better at it. But it was fun. I remembered too late a classic long form trick of the trade, which is like if you name a character, if you give another character a name, say it 2 or 3 times right out the gate.
Yeah.
Get it in there a couple times in a row. Because there were some characters that I never, and then it was just that awkward actual social thing where it's just like, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, and it's too late to ask again. And also, we got real mixed up about if Gravy, Dave, Mike, was there a cover name? What? Who knows what? Layers.
And that probably plays off of my naivete around witness relocation, because my assumption, probably wrongfully, is that when you're in a witness relocation program, someone, at least if you're in like a host family, the host family would know.
Makes sense. Yeah, my character should have been like an agent, right?
But that's also interesting that he wasn't.
Librarian. You know? Wow. But I had fun.
It was episode 83, so obviously people would have by this point been like,
that was a weird conceit that we committed to.
Yeah.
For the pilot of this, it was a weird conceit.
That is true. Yeah.
But was it fun? Yes. You tell us if it was any fun to listen to, but we had a fun time. Was it repeatable? I feel like I think because of its malleable nature, we could find the way that it would be repeatable. You just insert another crazy sci-fi thing that steers it. I think it's repeatable. I think could we do more improvised sci-fi podcasts? For sure, very repeatable.
Oh yeah.
Did we set ourselves up well narratively for that specific thread to continue repeatably? I don't know.
No, I'll say.
But it could be like each time he's. I think by summarizing at the end and putting into the narrative that it's incredibly redundant and the same thing happens every episode, that made it feel less repeatable.
Right.
Without that, setting that aside, it maybe could have been repeatable.
I'd say also my discovery in there creatively that almost was like, oh, that's the version of this I think I'd have the most fun with, would be like an interview show, but the person that you're interviewing is an alien and you're learning about their planet and stuff. So it's more like
that's fun.
In the format, you don't need to worry about all these plot things. You can kind of just start steering someone in crazy directions.
That's a good pitch. Put that one in the craw, like PhanZane got in the craw.
Yeah.
That's a good pitch. Finally, and of course, and most importantly, do we feel like this podcast adds value to the world?
I want to further that question with I have a question. Is it, does it add value to this world?
Our world.
No. Another world?
Oh, wow.
Maybe.
Beautiful. I love that. So it might add value to another world. In our world, there's probably a lot of other improvised narrative podcasts that maybe would be better. But for another planet to learn about us, very helpful.
Wow.
Very helpful.
Wow.
So there we go.
So
those are our questions about both those podcasts.
2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 good. I feel like also
I think that's
I should
a generous
say
reading of PhanZane.
It's kind of like the triangle of low budget. You only get 2.
Sure.
There's fast, easy, or there's fast, quick, cheap.
Yeah.
You pick 2. So for us, both these podcasts, it's like, was it fun? Was it repeatable? Did it add value to the world? Pick 2. You can't have all 3.
And with Phantom, you didn't really necessarily have any, but that's
right.
But you pick 2 to think about.
You can pick 2 and think about that.
If you were to insist that we make a second episode of one of these, and made one of these our full time, which podcast is closer to being worthy of a second episode? Which one won this episode?
I am going to say PhanZane won this episode.
You'd rather make a second episode of PhanZane and just see what happens when we had to keep talking about the Phantom?
I could see. I think the improvised one was the right pebble in the pond on the breaking the surface tension of doing an improvised. I would want to alt on the premise a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like PhanZane would be fun to get into another episode so that we could get plumbing deeper and deeper and deeper. I could see it maybe being fun.
I definitely would not agree, but you're kind of convincing me. My instinct was very obviously to be the other one. But I think I do agree that if we were to do an improvised narrative podcast, we would want to start fresh, not pick up.
No, that would. But maybe that's the version of it, is that every time it's a new improvised thing. But I guess that's kind of what we're already doing.
But that's not what we pitched today. What we pitched today was that it's called
Spacecode 96145 or something. Yeah.
And that does not feel that. Yeah. I'm with you. I guess I would vote. I guess you've convinced me.
Wow.
If we're going to make a second episode, it would be a PhanZane.
Well, you guys tell us if either of these should ever have a second episode, and we'll keep our eye on, really, we would hope that one day we find something that we could repeat. But until then, we're going to keep bringing some new podcast ideas your way and hope that you enjoy them.
Thank you.
Thank you for being you. Thank you for hanging out with us. And hey.
And tell us, what in this episode did you find? Distracting. What did you find? What did you find? What did you find distracting?